You may have heard of Lakewood Ranch and Welland Park, two huge and growing master plan communities in Sarasota and Manatee counties. But have you heard of another master plan community called Palmer Ranch right here in Sarasota? I feel like Palmer Ranch is such a gem, but doesn't get as much fanfare as Lakewood Ranch or Welland Park. So today I'm going to share with you 3 things that make Palmer Ranch so great. The first thing that makes Palmer Ranch so great is, first, the location. All of Palmer Ranch is right here in Sarasota County with a Sarasota mailing address. It's south of Clark, west of I-75, east of 41, and goes just past State Road 681. But please note, it's not a perfect rectangle and those borders will zigzag a little, but this gives you an idea of where it's at. This location is great because you are close to both I-75 and 41 to get north and south, but Honore and McIntosh are in the middle of Palmer Ranch as well. These are great alternatives to jumping on a major highway or the busy Tamiami Trail. Now, so many people want new construction, but not far from the beaches, and Lakewood Ranch really doesn't deliver that, but Palmer Ranch sure does. You can go to Nokomis Beach, the North Jetty, Venice Beach, or Siesta quite easily. Just to the north on 41 is downtown Sarasota and the bridge to St. Armand's Circle and Lido Beach. Clark Road and 41 are filled with restaurants and shops. There are 4 to 5 Publix grocery stores within or just on the exterior of Palmer Ranch. Detweiler's is on Clark Road just to the west. Sarasota Memorial Hospital is on 41 to the north. And farther south on Honore is the new Sarasota Memorial Hospital location, which is technically Nokomis. As an added bonus, Costco borders on the west side of Palmer Ranch. People always ask me where Costco is in relation to neighborhoods. I hear, how much is the home? What are the HOA dues? How new is the roof? And where's Costco? The location of Palmer Ranch is really ideal. The second thing I want to share with you are the amenities. Although a master plan community, Palmer Ranch isn't like Lakewood Ranch or Welland Park in a number of ways. There isn't anything that would be considered a downtown area or a hub of activity. Now, I recognize some people really do want that, but many of the neighborhoods or housing communities do have their own events and activities. In addition, because Palmer Ranch is centrally located between Welland Park and Lakewood Ranch, residents can always participate in those grander events in either location. So a potential downside to Palmer Ranch are the less grand events, but the upside is less traffic congestion because of those events. Sarasota County does have a Rails to Trails project called Legacy Trail, and that runs from downtown Sarasota to Venice. So if you're into cycling or running, this is a beautiful and safe way to enjoy the outdoors and nature. If your neighborhood doesn't back up to Legacy Trail, there are parking lots along the trail that you can start at. In addition, there's also Potter Park, a 37-acre park with picnic tables, tennis courts, gazebo, playground, and more. And finally, there's Culver House Nature Park and Community Garden, which is all about conservation. So although growing, Palmer Ranch is still focused on conservation. In a nutshell, as a whole, Palmer Ranch doesn't have a lot of extra hoopla besides these parks, trails, and the community garden, but many of the neighborhoods do have their own events and activities. Now let me quickly introduce myself. If you don't know me yet, my name is Jill Thomas. I'm a real estate agent here in the beautiful Sarasota, Florida. We're just south of Tampa on the West Coast. It's my desire for you who are looking to buy or sell real estate in my market to be educated and really understand our neighborhoods, the types of homes, transactions, and what pitfalls you need to look out for. So if you've been thinking about buying or selling around here, please, please, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that notification bell, and then keep on watching. Now, I do take my service beyond these videos. Feel free to hit a link down in the description to schedule a 30-minute call for me, and you can just send me an email or a text as well. But please use me as a resource as you figure out your next best step. So we first talked about the great location and what kind of amenities to expect in Palmer Ranch. Now let's talk about the types of homes and neighborhoods. So number 3, neighborhoods. There are about 35 communities in Palmer Ranch. Some are exclusively homes, condos, or villas, and others are a mix of any few of these three. Most of the neighborhoods are gated, but not all. And the oldest properties in Palmer Ranch are from around the mid-1980s, and they're still building right now in 2024. There really should be something for everyone there. Some of the condos run around $300,000, and they go up from there, and they can go up pretty high. And then homes run from around $500,000 to $600,000 and go north of $1 million. Typically, it will be the older homes or the older properties that will go for less money, and even the association dues can vary greatly. It depends on the amenities within the neighborhood and the number of properties that share those expenses. Now, some of the neighborhoods do have those CDD fees and some don't, but the ones that don't have them will be the older communities, or actually some of the newer communities that are farther north or closer to Clark Road. Some of the neighborhoods have a lot of amenities, and some are pretty basic, maybe with a community pool and possibly a dog park. Now, here's a few communities that are definitely worth mentioning that have a lot of amenities. First, Stony Brook in Palmer Ranch has a golf course, but keep in mind, residents are required to join this golf course. It's not optional if you're a resident. There's other Stony Brook locations in Venice, and there's one in Bradenton, but they don't have golf courses, or it's not required to join. Now, Village Walk is really interesting. It has a gas station, a central post office, a cafe, and other little shops. So for being built in the early 2000s, I think it was really ahead of its time. Then the community farthest south in Palmer Ranch, just south of State Road 681, is Talon Preserve, and there's still construction going on. They'll have a resort-style swimming pool, or actually multiple pools, a restaurant, a cafe by the pool, and a whole lot more. But keep in mind, the fees there are definitely going to be more money. Now, a few things I want to point out that you need to look at when it comes to these homes in Palmer Ranch. If there's older roofs and older air conditioners, insurance could be an issue, so you want to be mindful of that. Something else I want to mention, so many people who come down from up north assume that every home has armor to protect it from hurricanes. Now, please know, it wasn't really strong building code until about 2004 that the homes either had to be built with hurricane shutters or impact glass. And I find that there are some homes that were completed in 2005 that don't have that. So I think there's a little gray area involved there. So if hurricane protection is really important to you, please be sure to mention that, because you don't want to buy something that doesn't have that. More homes here actually don't have hurricane protection than do. My 1970s home doesn't have any protection, and my first home that I bought here in Florida was built in the 1920s, and it's still standing with really low building standards. So keep that in mind. So what do you think of Palmer Ranch? Could you see yourself living here? And did I fail to mention something that you think it's important? So if so, please drop it in the comments below. Now, as an added little bonus point, Palmer Ranch is named after Bertha Palmer from Chicago. She came down here just over 100 years ago and bought a lot of land, a lot of property, and this was a ranch back then. So Palmer Ranch was a ranch. And Honore, the road that I mentioned, is actually her maiden name. So if you have any Chicago roots, check this out. The whole history is very interesting. Now, let's move on to the next segment. One thing I love and one thing I hate about Sarasota. First, what I love. This is something that people who come here to look at homes mention often. Sarasota is a very clean area. You don't see a lot of trash on the ground. There aren't couches on the side of the roads or the side of the highways. It doesn't kind of give off that icky vibe. I feel like many residents take pride in our town. Now, of course, there's some residential streets without any deed restrictions, without, any follow-up, that aren't maintained the same way. But generally speaking, this is a really clean and tidy area, and people mention that all of the time. Now, here's something that I hate. Now, I'm recording this in January and our traffic has picked up quite a bit. It isn't so much the heavy traffic that bothers me, but it's the drivers. People can be so inconsiderate, dangerous, and reckless. We also have the opposite of that, those who are too cautious and too considerate, but that actually can be dangerous too, especially on a roundabout. So be careful out there. I don't really care for a lot of our drivers down here. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please be kind, hit that like button, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.